us about it, and there's the link, because
yes,
I want to post it up on my, send it out with my next
okay.
Letter about if people want to listen to that program.
Yes, that'll be good. No problem to share it. That's good. That's the one that's coming up this Friday.
It's
Your
Friday?
one, yeah, this Friday. That's not your one. Is coming after that.
Yeah, that's after that. Yeah.
That is on the first.
This Friday, I'm going to Bhavana Society.
Yeah, that's why you told me. That's why you could do that. Yeah. So we gave you a Sunday, which is. So I sent the email about little. I had to introduce you to the audience, so I need to have some things about Sri Lanka. What you stayed during your early days in Sri Lanka. Maybe that will be interesting for the people. So.
Oh, is that what you sent me today, asking me about that?
A couple of questions. I told you what you can, provide me. So
Okay,
I said,
I'll look at it.
yeah, please. You get a chance. It's too early. I mean, I don't think you have to.
That's next Sunday, right?
Yeah, it is the next Sunday on the 3rd, on the 1st.
And what time is it?
9 o'clock US time. 9 a.m.
Okay, I'll have to send out. I should have sent out a note, because next Sunday I'm not giving my normal Sunday Zoom programs, but these other things that I'm doing, then I will let people, they can tune into those programs.
Okay. Yeah, we received your email with that all the Sunday programs are suspended until further notice, right? Your regular ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the
on Monday I'll send out
yeah, we got that. I got
the newsletter and mention that. I'll try to include that link.
Okay.
To that program.
Okay.
Can you also send me that link again?
Yeah, your link I will send. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I haven't got it yet. Okay.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so let's go ahead and.
Bhante, your wireless mic is on?
Yes. Okay, I got a recording Zoom. Okay. So for those who like, we'll recite the Namo Tassa and Three Refuges. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So friends, welcome to this Wednesday evening Sutta study. And tonight probably we'll be concluding our look at the Mahasatipatthana Sutta that we've been going over for more than almost maybe a month and a half or 2 months, going over it bit by bit. And so this evening probably we'll try to get through that, because a lot of it already we've gone over. So last week we covered the truth of the cessation of suffering. And so tonight we are going over the last contemplation in the contemplation of the Satipatthana Sutta. And that is on the fourth noble truth, the way leading to the cessation of suffering. As we saw that the Four Noble Truths was the last group in the contemplation of the Dhamma, Dhammanupassana, and the Noble Eightfold Path is the fourth one of those. So I'm just going to read what the Buddha said. And monks, what is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering? It is just this Noble Eightfold Path. And that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So I'm sure all of you know those 8 steps of the Noble Eightfold Path. And sometimes the Noble Eightfold Path, or the right view. So the right view is the first of the Eightfold Path. And the right view, as we've already studied, is the Four Noble Truths. So, and the fourth Noble Truth is the Noble Eightfold Path, and right view is the first step of the Noble Eightfold Path. So the first of the Four Noble Truths is simply the truth of suffering, and then the cause of suffering, then the cessation of suffering. But right view is knowing all 4 of those, including the path leading to the ending of suffering. Now, so what is right view? Again, knowledge of suffering, knowledge of the origin of suffering, knowledge of the cessation of suffering, and knowledge of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. Now, we've gone over this. You've heard this already many times. Many of you probably already have it memorized. So I'm not going to go through, except for saying that right view has the 3 levels. Now, this is important, at least from the Theravada standpoint. There's a lot of people that hear about, I just want to meditate. I just want to meditate. I don't want to hear about right view, these theories and dogmas. They think right view or the Four Noble Truths is some theory or dogma. They just want to meditate. You've heard that that's all you have to do. Well, according to the Theravada teaching, that having an intellectual understanding is the first level, and we've already talked about this quite a lot. So the Sutta Maya Panya means the initial intellectual or academic understanding you get from reading suttas or hearing Dhamma talks. And basically that's because if you haven't heard Dhamma before, you have to hear it, right? I mean, most people, especially if you're born into a country like in America, where before 50 years ago, nobody knew anything about Dhamma really, or hardly anything about any other religions except for, the dominant religion here, Judeo-Christianity. And then, so that pricks your interest to start studying more. And then the second level of understanding is the Chintamaya Panya, where you think about the Dhamma. And that includes the practice of meditation, or at least mindful. You become mindful and you observe how the law of karma works. You observe how you suffer because of your results of your wrong actions, the effects of your, let's say, breaking the precepts, for example, and to reflect on impermanence and conditioning and so on. And this also corresponds, these three levels of right view correspond with the three phases of the Four Noble Truths that are explained in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So I gave a talk on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta a few weeks ago. It's on YouTube, if you haven't heard that. And the Buddha explains those three phases of each of the Four Noble Truths. So the first level is simply the statement, there is suffering. And so that would correspond to that initial intellectual understanding. You hear about, okay, there is suffering, and the three levels of suffering, birth, old age, sickness, and death, not getting what you want, getting what you don't want. And then the knowledge of the five aggregates of clinging are suffering. And then the Chintamaya Panya, the second phase of each of those Four Noble Truths is this truth of suffering is to be understood. So this is to be understood means you've got to study it and understand it. So this corresponds to the second level of Panya, the Chintamaya Panya, the thinking about the Dhamma, and which involves also initial meditation and the practice of mindfulness. You can see how the Dhamma is operating in your life, the lives of others, and so on. And then the third level of wisdom, which is the Bhavanamaya Panya, corresponds with this understanding of the dukkha, has been understood. Because this Bhavanamaya Panya refers to attaining the four stages of entering the stream, once returning, never returning, and the Arhat path. I mean, this is a general kind of correlation of them. So, anyway, in this right view, also the right view of the Noble Eightfold Path is, the Noble Eightfold Path basically also has two levels. One is the mundane Eightfold Path. So, and mundane right view refers to whatever insights or whatever understanding of Dhamma you have or have gotten before the mind has entered the stream. In other words, a lot of people practice the Dhamma for, even years and years, if and when eventually they enter the stream or become a Sotapanna. That means destroy or overcome the 3 lower fetters. So we've talked about that before. So until one has become a Sotapanna, according to the Buddhist explanation, people are practicing the mundane eightfold path. And one still has the mundane right view. That means you have the Sutta Maya Panya and you have the Chinta Maya Panya levels of wisdom. But you don't have yet the deep Bhavana Maya Panya, which is normally considered to be having that first full glimpse of the unconditioned state, the deathless state, or Nibbana. So after one attains the state of Sotapanna, and again, for the rest of that person's life, or even up to, even 6 more lifetimes, one would be practicing the supramundane eightfold path. So anyway, those views, the right view is there, and then the right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Again, all of those are mundane until one has reached entered the stream. And even the states of jhana are mundane until one has, entered the stream, has attained the first path, which destroys the personality belief. So, I'm not going to go through all the steps of the Eightfold Path because we've already gone over that a number of times in the, in our previous sessions. But I just wanted to point out that this, now the Four Noble Truths, people can hear about the truth of suffering, the truth of the arising of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering. But unless you actually practice the Noble Eightfold Path, then again, that's going to remain on a very superficial level. Now, again, if anybody has any questions on that, I'm going to see if there's any question in the chat. Says this question, can you list the suttas that correspond to the 3 levels of right view? I can't immediately recall any particular sutta without having to kind of investigating that, any sutta that talks specifically about the 3 levels of right view. I mean, it's really a process. One, first you have to hear about the Dhamma and do some reading, then you have to investigate it, and then finally you have the realization. So those are more or less implied, as when one starts practicing, and why the and also of course, the mundane Eightfold Path and the super mundane Eightfold Path. There is a specific sutta which the Buddha talks about that. And again, I can't quote it off the top of my head right now. Somebody should be able to at least find that one. Okay, there seems to be another question here. Is emphasis on the right view one of the differences between Sutrayana and Tantrayana? It is Theravada emphasizes Sittamaya Panya, Chintamaya Panya, and Bhavanamaya Panya, while Mahayana emphasizes only Bhavanamaya Panya. In Tibetan Buddhism, they don't only emphasize Bhavanamaya Panya. The Tibetan suttas, there's many Tibetan suttas and Mahayana suttas also. Suttamaya Sutrayana is only one of the yanas, and out of, I don't know how many there are that they talk about in the Mahayana, but of course they do consider the Theravada suttas as a kind of elementary understanding of the Dhamma. So, sort of, let's say, like elementary school learning in terms of the Dhamma. And then there are Tantrayana and these yanas that they talk about are sort of a higher teaching. But, the Suttamaya Panya, again, that's just to get one started. And then, the bhavana, the different types of meditation can take different levels. When my first introduction to Buddhism was at a Tibetan meditation course in Nepal in 1973. And I had really didn't know much about Buddhism at that time, just very little bit. And that whatever I learned, I had kind of forgotten. But I went to this meditation course, and actually they did all three. During that course, it's very interesting. This one is called the Lam Rim. I did a Lam Rim course with Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who are quite well known. And that included all three of those levels. So they had a textbook in which we read different topics, like about karma and rebirth, about suffering, and about greed, hatred, and delusion, and the basic sutta stuff from but probably from the Tibetan agamas. I'm not sure what it was. Basically, it was basic some basic Theravada with a Mahayana influence. But anyway, so we read a chapter. And then following that, we heard a lecture by the Lama in which he would explain those things further. And then we would meditate. So every day, that was part of the regime for 1 month. First, we would read a section and get the Suttamaya Panya. Then we would hear the Lama go over that and explain in more detail, studying it, Chintamaya Panya. And then we sat and meditated, the Bhavanamaya Panya. So even in the Tibetan meditation course, they were following that method, and it was very effective because it had a very powerful effect on me. Okay. This next question. Can you explain how belief in rebirth, karma, and spontaneous birth is part of right view? And can you discuss how right view is the forerunner of the Eightfold Path? Well, the Buddha talked about the rebirth and the karma and so on as because of the karma, basically, because of the way the results of our actions lead to these various types of suffering. We have to experience the result of our actions in this life. And when we are reborn, then we also can experience the results of those actions in another life, according to how one is reborn. And the Buddha has talked about in other suttas about the kinds of karma that a person performs to get rebirth as in the animal realm or as a human realm. Even as a human realm, people are born with, lots of in different levels. With some people have much more physical suffering than others, or low intelligence and high intelligence, and so on. So it's to instill the sense of urgency to practice. And if a person thinks, oh my gosh, I'm suffering now, but a lot of this is brought over from the past, and if I don't do something about it, it's going to continue on into the future. So it's kind of like a scare tactic, actually, to get one motivated to practice and not put off the practice, because death can happen at any time. That's the whole point. People say, put off the practice. Well, I'll meditate when I get older, when my kids graduate from college, or any number of things. There's so many excuses why people don't want to put forth the effort, and then the death may come and carry them away before they've had time to prepare themselves. So, the talk about the karma and rebirth is to motivate a person to not to be lazy and to put off practice, thinking you've got a lot of time, many years left to practice, because you don't know. So that's why it's the forerunner of the remaining factors of the practice, to actually start practicing right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, and of course the right thoughts. So, okay, that's there's another question here. It says Bhavana Maya suggests just skillful means, which is Bhavana Maya is not just skillful means. Bhavana Maya Panya is the deep insights that you get through developing mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Anyway, so now, so having then explained or just basically re-explain the steps of the Noble Eightfold Path, and in the last one, or what bhikkhus is right concentration, and so he mentions the four jhanas. And it's really the 4 jhanas are listed at the end because there's a certain order to all these steps of the Eightfold Path. And again, all the previous 7 steps are basically to help prepare the mind for attaining the jhanas. This doesn't mean, of course, you wait in practice all the other steps of the Eightfold Path. You're practicing meditation, but people just don't attain the 4 jhanas right away. I mean, a lot of people practice meditation and the Dhamma even years before they might even attain any of the jhanas, or even the first jhana, let alone the 4 of them. So that's why it's mentioned at the last state, because, and why mindfulness is mentioned before that. So one has to be mindful in order to attain the jhanas. And that's why there's there's an order, the way that the Buddha explained the Noble Eightfold Path. If a person just hears about the jhana, somebody talks about the jhana, oh, if you just sit down and focus on your breathing at the tip of the nose, and you can attain these fantastic states of bliss, and this and that. And some people, oh wow, yeah, I want to do that. But without knowing the other steps of the Eightfold Path. And that's why either they don't have success in doing that, or they get into mental difficulties. If they try to force the mind to attain some concentration without the other levels of preparation, that's how people have gotten into serious mental difficulties, if they try to force their mind too quickly to reach some levels of concentration by different forms of manipulation, but without doing the preparatory work. But most people just don't, reach that level. So, all of those steps that you've practiced so far, reading up to those levels of concentration, you've been practicing the mundane Eightfold Path, even those jhanas up to that level. And it's like it leads you right to the edge. And so the Noble Eightfold Path is the path leading to the end of suffering. That means it leads you to the edge where the mind has to jump off from the conditioned world and enter the level of the Aryan, or at least the first level of the point of no return, let's say. And usually that's what some people call entering the stream is the path of no return, because it's impossible to fall away from the Dhamma in a serious way once you have entered the stream. So, and I've explained this before in when we were talking about the 7 factors of enlightenment, that mindfulness is practiced first, and then you attain the first, second, third, fourth jhanas while you are developing those factors of enlightenment. And the 6th factor of enlightenment factor is again the concentration, which means attaining those jhanas and the equanimity of the 3rd and the 4th jhanas. So it's all very clear. The Buddha has spelled it out very clearly if one just methodically studies and understands how the Buddha explained the Dhamma. So it's so wonderful. And that's why it's, the Dhamma is well expounded as the Dhamma by the Blessed One, what I mentioned in last Sunday's Dhamma talk about the qualities of the Dhamma. Okay, now we come to the final section of this sutta, in which Bhante Gunaratana calls the Buddha's guarantee. Bhante Ji has often mentioned about this, the last section of the Satipatthana Sutta. The Buddha it gives us sort of a guarantee. And he says, monks, if anyone should develop these 4 foundations of mindfulness in such a way, that means methodically and in the way that he's explained it, for 7 years, one of 2 fruits could be expected. Either final knowledge, that means the attainment of complete liberation, here and now, or if there's a trace of clinging left, they would attain the non-returning. So he's saying in 7 years, if one was to practice these 4 foundations for 7 years, one could conceivably attain full enlightenment, or if there's still a little clinging left, at least the state of the never returning. But then probably some monks, doesn't mention this, but it's my little commentary is some monks are probably saying, oh, Buddha, 7 years, come on, I may not live 7 years. Can't we get it a little bit quicker than that? So he said, okay, let alone 7 years, monks. If anyone should develop these 4 foundations of mindfulness in such a way, for 6 years, one could attain either the final liberation or once returning. And then another monk probably said, well, I can't wait even 6 years. Come on, Can we do it faster than that? So he said, okay, let alone 5 years, let alone 4 years, let alone 3 years, let alone 2 years, let alone 1 year, monks. If anyone should develop these 4 foundations of mindfulness in such a way, one could attain full enlightenment, or if a trace of clinging remains, the state of the never returning. And then probably another monk said, 1 year, like I have a terminal disease, I might not even last 6 months. So then the Buddha says, okay, if anyone should develop these 4 foundations of mindfulness for 7 months, or let alone 7 months, 6 months, and then he goes down the line, let alone 6 months, for 5 months if one practices. And then he keeps on going down to 4 months, then let alone 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. And then he says, a half a month, 2 weeks.
1 day.
And then finally he says, if one can practice for just 7 days, one of 2 fruits could be expected for him, final knowledge or trace of non-returning. So this is what it was said at the beginning of the Sutta. Monks, this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the true way, for the realization of Nibbana, namely these 4 establishments of mindfulness. It was with reference to this that this was said. This is what the Buddha had said, and the monks were elated and delighted in the Buddha's words on the subject. So, that's the Buddha's guarantee. But the catch is, if one would practice these 4 foundations of mindfulness in such a way. That means in all the details and following that way for 7 years. But most people that practice mindfulness these days probably are not practicing at that level that the Buddha meant in such a way. Because again, he was delivering the sutta to monks who should have most of their day free for the meditating. And so it's all about, the amount of time that one spends in the practice. So anyway, that's why, this again, this is the direct path. In the Noble Eightfold Path, there's a lot of paths that kind of beat around the bush, go around in circles like a spiral. They go around and finally they gradually, get into the center. But a Buddha kind of attacks ignorance like an attack dog, like a pit bull, and just goes right to, the right view and so on, and in the development of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So,
Bhante, can I ask a question, please?
okay.
Can you please explain briefly what is the basic difference in the Theravada, Mahayana, Zen, different sects of Buddhism? Is it the way you meditate, or what is the basic difference between all these different kinds of?
Because Buddhism was taken to different countries. With King Ashoka, he sent missionaries to different countries, and then people heard about, like the monks from China, they come to India to study the suttas. They took those suttas back to China, but it changed. They when the Dhamma went, most of it was the Theravada Dhamma that went to those countries, but depending on the culture and the pre-existing beliefs in a country, they changed the Dhamma to kind of fit their, whoever, the king or the monks. Anyway, we don't know exactly, but it changed. And that's why the different sects of Mahayana. And then even within Mahayana, the different countries, they practice in different ways. Japanese Buddhism, for example, or Korean Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, and so on. Tibetan Buddhism. They're all different, but they all have the original Theravada, what they call agamas, as their source, but they've gone on to develop their particular flavors and practices which have become popularized that we find today.
So Bhante, in Theravada we do the silent meditation. So in Mahayana, is it the chanting? I believe that there are some sects which do the meditation by chanting.
Well, they use chanting. Some of they use chanting as a preliminary way of quieting their mind or focusing their mind, and then most of them do go into some type of silent meditation afterwards. Some of them may not. There's so many different sects within Mahayana, so I don't want to get into all those because even I don't know all of those.
What is so particular about the Zen?
What?
Zen.
Well, Zen, of course, yeah, they don't emphasize this. They listen to talks from their Zen masters directly about trying to drop their conditioned thoughts and so on. So, yeah, they don't rely so much on the Suttamaya Panya or the Chintamaya Panya. They, but I'm not an expert on Zen, so I don't want to talk too much about that. There's different forms of Zen too. But they're heavily on the meditation and trying to directly get you to go beyond the conditioned mind.
Thanks, Bhante.
So the question, is there any valid reason to consider why one was originally separated from the Dhamma? And in doing so, it led to human rebirth. Well, that is, no, I cannot really explain that with any, personal knowledge of that. It's just simply, the first point in time of ignorance. The Buddha said there's no first point in time when ignorance came into the human beings started. I mean, there are some sutras that do explain kind of the origination of the cosmos. So in the Digha Nikaya, you find some sutras like that. But the question, does this sutra applies only to monks? Well, the Buddha was giving this discourse to the monks. No, but he was also, he gave the talk to others too. But because, he was surrounded by monks all the time, and they were the ones who were keen on practicing. So as a lay person, and there are some lay people in the Buddhist time that attained the stage of anagami. There were a number of recognized Buddhist lay disciples who attained the level of the anagami with a little bit of clinging, because they were still in the family and so on. So there's probably what he mentioned, there's a little bit of clinging left. So, and they would have attained the state of the non-returning. Says, is it true that one doesn't have to attain the jhanic states to achieve enlightenment? Well, I wouldn't say that's true, because if you read the teachings, it includes right concentration. But as I've said many times, one attains that by practicing the four foundations of mindfulness in the right way. One attains jhana as a natural outcome of developing the seven factors of enlightenment, if you practice it in that methodical way. So if you're following the sutras, yes, one have to attain the jhanic states, but you don't attain that separately from the insight. It's part of the practice of, again, the seven factors of enlightenment. That, you've got to study that over and over and over again. You attain the jhanas while developing the mindfulness and the insights. You gain the jhanas. It's very clearly, if you read the seven factors of enlightenment, and also the Satipatthana Sutta. In Bhikkhu Tani Saro's translation, he says, either gnosis, right here and now, or I don't know what the word for Gnosis, knowledge, I think final knowledge is what he means by gnosis, I believe. I don't say exactly, but I know gnosis is a Greek word for meaning and knowledge. That's all I can really say about it. Ignorance is beginning less, but has an end. I heard this many times, but not in liberation. No beginning of ignorance is known. He didn't say that there's beginning less, but no one point in time when ignorance started is pointed out. It's better to say it that way. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that. Okay, friends, so I think that concludes our study of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Now, I think next week, next Wednesday, I'm going to go over another long sutta in the Digha Nikaya called the Aripariyesana Sutta, which means the noble search. And this was the Buddha's own description of how he came about to begin the path that he took. And I haven't gone over it. I don't think I haven't gone over that yet, in the Sutta study. So anyway, I'll remind and try to send a link to that. It's in the Digha Nikaya, the long discourses. I forget which number right now, but anyway, I'll try to send out on Monday or Tuesday, or maybe Monday, a link to that sutta if I can find one. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a little break to.
Bhante, can I ask a quick question?
Okay.
What you are going to be doing on Sundays, is it going to be available to us to watch on Zoom?
Well, this next Sunday is August 1st, and I'm going to be giving a Dhamma talk, but it's going to be at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And I'm going to send out a link for that.
Okay.
And on that newsletter that I send out probably on Monday, mentioning the Sutta class, I'm going to hopefully post that link to the Sunday Dhamma talk.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, I'm suspending the normal 2:00 Dhamma talks because there's other things that, again, I got all these other invitations, and I want to do some AI on Sunday afternoons too. So, I want to make time for that. But anyway, so to look for that Monday, the mailing that I send out.
So Bhante, is it just going to be the talk, or is it going to be followed by something else like meditation?
I think it's going to be a short meditation practice.
And we'll be able to see that too?
Yes, it should be. I hope so. Actually, Mr. Ganipola, you want to say something about that? One of the people who's listening right now, he's the one who's been organizing that, actually. Do you like explaining that, Mr. Ganipola?
Yes, Bhante, I'll glad to explain. Yeah, so I'll send the link which you can share with this group, and it's Sunday, 9:00 a.m. in the morning, U.S. time, East Coast, and there will be a talk and followed by, as you said, brief meditation and question and answer session. The total is 2 hours because there will be some talk by the organizers, but we got 2 hours, at least 1.5 hours for Dhamma, for Bhante Rahula. So that link, I'll send it to Bhante. Bhante will share it by Monday. You will have it.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay. Okay, friends. So let's take a little pause, come back in a few minutes. We'll do some yoga stretches and then our meditation. Okay.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to. Long day.
And get this set up here. Okay. Okay, friends, just stand straight, relax your shoulders. Just feel the feet pressing the floor. Try to mentally feel the standing body. Then begin some deep, slow breathing, the three-part breathing, if you know that. Drawing the air from the lower lung up through the middle to feel the expansion into the upper chest. Hold the air in for 2 or 3 seconds and slowly breathe out, feeling the last bit of air go out. And then the next in-breath. Developing this train of thought. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. And we'll combine this deep, slow breathing with the movements. So in the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, feel the sensations. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, bend back a little bit. Out breath, touch the top of the head. Third time, hold that upward stretch longer. Feel the sensation. Now release the fingers, the out breath, arms back to the side. Feel the sensations in the hands and fingers. Just relax. Feel the standing body. Just getting the mind grounded, centered in the present moment of the body. First stage of mindfulness. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the sensations of the body in the front of the awareness. On the next in breath, push up on the toes and raise the arms over the head this way. Facing the hands toward each other and stretch. Out breath, come back down. Use the breath to help lift up the body. In breath. Out. In. Stretch. Out. Relax. Feel those increased subtle sensations. Developing vitaka and vichara, applied and sustained attention in the body, standing, standing. And next, the knee bending. On the in-breath, lift up on the toes, raise the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees, lower down to the squatting position if you can, balancing on the balls of the feet. In-breath, lift up. Feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up. Out. In. Out. In. Out breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat or other sensations. Combining the Vedanusati with the Kayanusati. Developing the Chintamaya Panya. This body is just billions and billions of cells, molecules, atoms, vibrating, pulsating. And the flow of impermanence. It's part of the mundane right view. Next we'll do side bending using both arms. On the in-breath, raise both arms. Keep the fingers and arms straight, close to the head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side. Feel the stretch in the side. Keep the arms parallel to each other like a railroad track. In-breath, lift up. Then to the left side, out-breath. In-breath. And to the right, out-breath. Out breath, lower the arms. Keep feeling those increased sensations in hands and fingers. Just remember standing, standing. Now spread the legs and feet apart, about 3 feet. Holding the arms out to the sides. You do the twisting from right to left. And breathe in. The out breath, twist to the right. Keep the eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body and then to the other side with the out breath. In breath front. Just continue that, alternating sides, out breath to the right. Out. In. Out. Lower the arms, relax. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the clothing touching the skin on different places. That present moment awareness, this body as it is. Now bring your feet back together. One last exercise, the backward and forward bending. And be careful with the back bends, especially when lifting back up from a back bending position, straightening up. A rush of energy cause you to get dizzy or black out perhaps. Don't bend back too far the first time. So holding the palms outward. On an in-breath, raise the arms up as you gradually spread them out to the sides as you bend back. Keep the eyes open. Look up at the ceiling. In-breath, carefully lift up. On the out-breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the floor. See if you can touch the floor or the feet. You need to keep the legs straight. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. And again, lifting up, turn the palms outward. In breath, lift the arms up and out to the sides, bend back. In breath, lift up. Again, out breath. Begin lifting up, turn the palms outward, in breath, palms out to the side. Yeah. Out breath. Try to hold that downward stretch longer. Begin lifting up. Bring the hands together at the chest. Out breath, arms back to the sides, relax. Feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating with activated life force, the oxygenated blood, electrical energy, circulation. Present moment awareness. Okay, friends, so go ahead and get ready for the meditation. Okay, friends, so let's try to sit comfortably. Get comfortable with the seat, meditation posture. Try to align the spine and the back of the head in a straight line. Once you place your hands, one on top of the other, and on your lap or against the abdomen, or resting on your legs, try not to move the hands. And gently close the eyes. Now focus your full attention down to feel where the buttocks press the floor. Feel that solid contact, that earth vibration, that solid feeling. Try to feel the right and the left buttock or sit bones pressing the floor, the seat. Just remind yourself of sitting, sitting. And mentally feel the way that the legs are bent at the knees, where the feet are crossed underneath, or where the feet press the floor. And feel your feet, the sensations in the feet and toes. It's like looking down through a magnifying glass or a microscope. Just focus that attention down on the feet. Feel the subtle vibrations or pulsations. You just remind yourself of sitting, sitting. Now feel your hands and fingers, where they touch together, where they touch your legs. Try to feel the individual fingers and thumbs. Feel the pulsation in different fingers and thumbs. Now feel the weight of the shoulders, of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. And feel where the clothing touches the skin of the shoulders, upper arms, even the chest. Try to feel the breathing in the chest. The ability to move the mind to different parts of the body and hold it there for some seconds or longer to feel sensations, powerful mental power. It's the beginning of deeper mindfulness and concentration. And now feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Just let the awareness kind of settle behind the eyes. Just feel the eyes resting in the socket. And the eyelids stretched over the eyeball. Feel the subtle eye movements, and the pulse of blood in the eyelid. Just sort of just watching your eyes with the eye of awareness. There's two kinds of eyes. One is the fleshy eye that we see external world, and the eye of awareness that can see, observe, or feel the sensations under the skin, or even can notice thoughts moving through the mind. The eye of mindfulness. And from that point behind the eyes, you feel the sensations on your face. The skin stretched over the front of the skull. Try to feel that sensation on the forehead. Skin stretched over that hard skull. And feel the eyes, eyelid. And then the nose. Feel the bridge of the nose. Sort of rest the attention at the tip of the nostrils. Take a couple of deeper breaths, see if you can feel the touch of air as it goes in and out of the nostrils. It's a very subtle sensation. Now feel the lips touching together. Feel the sensation of dryness or moistness in the lips. Feel where the upper lip touches the lower lip. And try to feel the tongue laying in the mouth, where the tongue may touch the teeth, the insides of the mouth. And be aware in the back of the throat, any sensations to want to swallow or cough, or any itchy sensation. The buildup of saliva. And again, just let the awareness rest behind the eyes. And then just open up the lens of awareness Try to feel the outline of the sitting body. So from the head, open up to feel the chest, stomach, buttocks pressing the seat, lower legs, the feet. Just try to hold that whole body awareness, outline of the sitting body in the mind's eye of awareness. Could call it the third eye. And just remember sitting, sitting, sitting. It's the present moment of the body. And then again, take some deep, slow breaths, as we did in the yoga exercise. Exaggerate the sensation of breathing to help oxygenate the blood. While developing this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. We're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to develop a more continuous focus on the sensations of breathing. We'll try to take some slightly deeper breaths to help feel it easier, help stay concentrated. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Feel the brief pause. And with the out breath, also count to 1. And feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. And the next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath 5. In breath 6. Out breath 6. In breath 7. Out breath 7. In breath 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Now discontinue the counting. Let the breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter rhythm. But continue to follow it. Just keep the mind focused there, either at the tip of the nose or at the movements of the abdomen or chest. Just try to follow the 4 phases of each breath. Sensations of the incoming breath and the brief pause. The sensations of the out breathing and the brief pause. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Try to feel the beginning, the middle, and the end of the in breath, the brief pause. The beginning, the middle, and end of the out breath, and the brief pause. It's cultivating applied and sustained attention, vitaka and vichara, to the breathing process. But at the same time, being alert for thoughts trying to intervene, to steal your attention away, or any of the 5 hindrances. You have to integrate mindfulness and concentration. Concentration is trying to keep your attention on the breathing. Mindfulness is the background alertness for notice any hindrances or other distractions, so that you can let go of those distractions and stay on the breathing to develop concentration. That's how you practice concentration and mindfulness at the same time. Like 2 sides of a coin. Mindfulness helps you to gain concentration. The concentration helps to brighten the mindfulness. The mind gets caught up in thinking, recognize it as thinking, let go of the thought. Take a deep, slow breath, draw the mind back into the body, get re-centered, grounded in the body. Just breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. The mind is already calm and focused enough, then investigate the Dhamma in terms of the 5 aggregates. This is material vibration. This is pleasant or painful, neutral feeling. This is a perception. This is a reaction or thought or emotion. This is the ego consciousness, the idea of I, me, or mine. Just be like a scientist sitting in the laboratory, observing an experiment. We're observing the process of the body and mind, the 5 aggregate process, material vibration, pleasant, painful, and neutral feelings that arise, perception or memory, names and labeling of objects, and the reactions, liking or disliking, or urging, opinions, ideas, thoughts of the ego. seeing how they just arise, last, change very rapidly. Just all coming and going through this breathing body awareness. Be aware of the unpleasant sensations and the urge to want to move. Keep relaxing the body and mind into the present moment. It's cultivating that detached or impersonal observation of this five aggregate body and mind process, powered by past karma. It's the Chintamaya Panya, reflective wisdom arising in contemplation, mindfulness practice. So what feelings or perceptions arise based on that sound contact? Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya dhammino upajitva nirunjanti te samupasamasuko dukkha pata ca nidukkha bhayapata ca nibbaya soka pata ca nisoka hontu sabbi pipanino. Impermanent are all conditioned things. They arise only to pass away. Having arisen, then they cease. The subsiding of them is bliss. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times. To finish the meditation, do the chanting on a long out breath. Take a deep breath. Sadhu. 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 Now place your hands at the edge of the knees. Take one more deep breath. You're breathing in, stretch the head back. Pull against the hands to arch your spine. And lift the head up on an in-breath. On the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. To stretch the neck vertebrae. Lift the chin up level on an in-breath. Relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So I hope you're able to have some peaceful or insightful meditation. And don't forget, mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. Sutta a day keeps delusion away. And the present moment awareness is always just beneath your nose. You know how to tune into it by doing the M&Ms every hour during the day. Okay, so just as a reminder, this Sunday there'll be no, not this Sunday, the 1st of August. This Sunday there won't be a Zoom Dhamma talk, but the 1st of August there'll be one. And also on the 5th of August, I haven't mentioned this yet, but on the 5th of August, I'll be giving a Zoom talk. Actually, it won't be a talk. It'll be participating in a panel discussion based on the talk that I gave a couple of weeks ago on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first sermon of the book. I gave that talk a couple of weeks ago on another website. And they're going to have a Mahayana monk give a talk on their version of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So they might have similar interpretation of that sutta, or they might interpret it some different ways. So it could be interesting to see how that sutta is explained from the Mahayana point of view. And then I'm going to participate with that monk and some others in some discussion about it. So that will be on Thursday, August 5th. And in this next mailing I send out on Monday, included with the lot of different Zoom links. You have to keep them sorted out. There'll be a different Zoom link for that one too. But hopefully I'll try to make it clear now. Okay? Okay, friends, be well.